know, it's a pleasure for me to have this opportunity to be on this side of the stage, right? So I started coming to ZestFest about 18 years ago as a hot sauce collector. And I was just here just to buy as many sauces as I possibly could. I was here so often that John Hart from K-John says, why don't we just come and put you to work? Make you earn your keep while you're here. So that kind of turned into an opportunity for us to kind of travel all the big shows, for us to keep collecting, and just kind of taking off from there. So today, I'm going to have some fun.
And now I'm your sous chef.
And now he's my sous chef, is what he says. So I'm going to put him to work, keep him going. So today I figured I would do something really cool, something fun, right, with one of the new sauces from K-John's. We just came out with the wild mushroom sauce. And if you have not had a chance to try this, yeah, right? Absolutely phenomenal sauce. So we entered it into the golden chilies for the first time. We put it in 3 different categories. We won 2 first place and a second place with it. So absolutely phenomenal. So a lot of the folks, a lot of the judges that were here all this weekend liked it as well. So I'm going to get my pan heated up here, and what I'm going to do something is like a little bit of a twist, right? So I thought, man, what can we do with mushrooms, right? What do we typically eat mushrooms with? So I thought, wow, what about a mushroom burger, but then twist it into an egg roll? So that's what I'm going to do for you guys tonight. Sounding good, right? I know you already want one.
Yeah.
He's already looking forward to it. All right, so we got our pan kind of nice and hot. So I'm going to start off with a little bit I'm going to put some onion in the pan, kind of get those going. We're going to caramelize, we're going to get those going, and I just want to cook those for about maybe 4 minutes, 5 minutes-ish, just enough to get them translucent, right? Nice and soft, all right? So I get to talk to you a little bit about what I do. So as a hot sauce collector, people kind of look at me a little bit different when I say that. I've been collecting hot sauce for about 25 years now. It all started out innocently enough with a Christmas present from my wife. She brought me 7 bottles. We put them up on the kitchen counter. People had come over that holiday and laughed and giggled at the labels, and it kind of spurned a collecting bug with me. Now, 25 years later, I'm looking at the world's largest hot sauce collection, and I am rolling up on 10,000 bottles, individual bottles from literally all over the world. I have sauces from Romania, I have sauces from Germany, I have sauces from New Zealand, England, you name it, I have sauces from. So it's a really neat opportunity for me to kind of look at what the global hot sauce community is like right now, and it's really fun to kind of be able to have what I lovingly deem as a shrine and or museum to hot sauce. And it's in my home.
Vic.
Yes.
If somebody's budget, because of course they're going to buy salsa, and of course they're going to buy Bloody Mary mix, jerky, and everything else. So if their budget for this weekend allows them only to get, the same way your wife got you 7 bottles to get started, if they want to aspire to a collection as great as yours, and they have a budget this weekend here for 7 bottles of hot sauce to start a collection, without showing preference or favorite to any brands, right, just to kind of give them a blueprint, what would you suggest they do, 7 bottles worth, to start a collection?
Right. I'd kind of spend some time on the floor and talk to some folks that are here, right? There's a lot of people, right? The hot sauce industry is really kind of cool. Most folks get their start as mom and pops, right? They work a 40, 50-hour a week job, and then they're doing their hot sauce on the side, right? So they have a lot of them have really good stories on how they kind of came up into the business and how they got started. So I would start there. You know, a lot of times people will kind of key in on regions or states or manufacturers. The way that I look at it is I wanted to just broaden my collection and just not get narrowed into anything like that. So I would suggest taking the time, going through, buying one sauce from maybe somebody on the front row, a couple here from the back row. It just kind of depends on what you like, and I also think that that kind of ties into what your flavor profiles are. So the sauces that you tend to like more, I think kind of bode well a little bit, and you're able to start a collection from that aspect of it because it's what you like, if that makes sense, all right? So as he's asking questions, if you guys have any questions for me as I'm going through, and again, you know, a lot of folks have questions for me. You don't get to meet someone with 10,000 bottles of hot sauce on their wall every day, all right? So I get that aspect of it. So I am open, and this is an interactive demo. So if you got some questions, shoot them to me. I'd be more than happy to ask them. So one of the questions that I do get a lot, and I find it very, very difficult to answer, is what is my favorite hot sauce? It's too difficult to narrow down. There's just no way. As my palate, I guess, has kind of evolved through my culinary journey, my flavors have changed, my flavor profiles have changed, my tastes have changed a lot. So I've found myself in the beginning, the Louisiana style sauces, right? The ones that were readily available at the grocery stores seem to be where I started, and a lot of people seem to cut their teeth. There was a real big push for jalapeno and chipotle back in the day, so then I kind of went from there. And then once I kind of found the Caribbean style sauces, so Caribbean style sauces tend to be a little thicker, right? They have more pulp, more pepper solids in them, a lot more seeds. Once I found those, I think my taste buds just exploded, and it was on like Donkey Kong from there. I just couldn't find enough or eat enough hot sauce to quench my fire, to quench my thirst, if you will. You know, right now I'm just kind of browning the meat here. We just use ground beef. I'm going to season a little bit with a little bit of salt and pepper. Salt and pepper's here. All right. Very good. One of the things that I learned in culinary school, right, the chef instructors really kind of drilled in was to make sure that you seasoned your meals as you go, your dishes kind of as you go. You don't want to wait until the end because you want to try to build flavor, right, in your dishes. So that's looking pretty good here. Almost browned up. I'm going to add a little bit of green pepper. All right, we diced up some green pepper prior to the back. There we go. All right. So while that's going, I'm going to slice up a couple of mushrooms, get that going for us.
Vic.
Yes.
So I collect bottles, but I guess I'm a glutton, or the way I do it, I mean, I eat the hot sauce, and then once I've got the empty bottle, I'll keep that one.
Right.
But your collection, are they complete and full, intact with all the sauce?
Yes, sir. So every one of my bottles is, if you will, factory sealed, has never been opened. I think that was something that was important to me in the beginning because, again, I didn't go out to, I never had the intention to start and to have the largest collection, right? And that was not my intention. It just kind of happened one day. I turned around and bam, there they were. Got it. So I think it can be important, right, to make, for me, it just depends on your style and what you want to do, right? So if you want to, there are a lot of collectors that collect dead soldiers, is what they call them, as they empty them out. Some folks put spices or different things in them, right, to kind of make them a little interesting. I always preferred the full bottles because I don't know, I just thought it was cooler. It was a nicer look, right? So on that line, I get a lot of questions. Does hot sauce go bad, right? So I've been collecting for 25 years. I have bottles in my collection that are way older than that, 30, 40 years old. So they will tend to discolor a little bit, but I don't eat them out of the collection. So once they go into the collection, they are entombed, right, if you will, enshrined. So I never eat them out of there, so I don't worry about that aspect of it.
And cool. This might be a ridiculous question, and it might be hard to approximate, but I'm kind of curious, what you might think the answer would be, somebody with 10,000 different hot sauces. How many hot sauces do you think you've actually tried and tasted in your life?
That's good. It's a good question. You know, so one of the things that works out really well for me, and kind of gives me a little bit of edge on that aspect, is that I get to travel around to the shows here. And I get to meet new folks. So out of my collection, I'd probably venture to say 3/4 of the sauces I've tried at some point through the collecting process, and or through the process of traveling around and getting to meet folks. You know, again, as a collector, and I take a little bit of criticism, well, why do you put all those bottles on your wall and you don't enjoy them, right? So I really try, because that's where it all stemmed from. This whole thing started from just a love of spicy food, right? I can remember I was, 7, 8 years old. My grandfather in New York had his own garden in his backyard. He grew jalapenos. And I can remember them picking fresh jalapenos and sitting at the picnic table out back and just eating them and just sweating, right? And then as a young kid, I think you mimic what you see, right? The folks that are around you, the people that are around you, the adults in your life. So I just started doing it. I watched Grandpa do it, so I started doing it. Grandpa put red hot chili flakes on his pizza, so I did it. And then so as I realized that I really wanted to, I guess I sought out hotter and hotter as I was going. The pepper flakes weren't doing it for me anymore. You know, the jalapenos weren't doing it for me anymore. So then it became just a quest to quench my fire, if you will, just trying to find hotter and hotter. And it was pretty cool. It's a fun aspect of it. I found a book very early on in my collecting career. It was called The Great Hot Sauce Book, right? It was by Jennifer Trainer Thompson. And it's really neat, and if you guys have seen it, it has a picture of her hot sauce collection on the cover. It's an illustrated book with pictures of hot sauces from literally all over the world. And how she did it is she broke it down by category. I think it was Louisiana style. She had some Hispanic. She had mild, mediums, all the way through. And again, it was a picture book, so it was funny that I grabbed that thing, and it just became a checkoff list for me. I actually kept it in my car. I had a Sharpie attached to it, and I would actually mark off as I went, as I found all of these sauces. And it was a goal for me at one point to try to find all of the sauces there to make sure that I had the same thing that she did. And it really opened up my eyes because she had talked about a lot of other hot sauce collectors all over the world and her hot sauce collection as well. And at that point, I had absolutely no idea that that even was a thing and that even existed. So it really kind of opened my eyes. It really, it again, lit a fire into me just to start doing it. And then as I started meeting people in the industry, as I started to go to these hot sauce shows, as the popularity of blogging and the internet started to really kind of come about, I got to meet a lot of these folks online and at the shows. And then once I guess I met the folks in this community, and it becomes a family very, very quickly, it just really kind of pulled me in. You know, it's funny that my folks will laugh at me and they give me a little bit of a hard time because, you know, we travel around vacations and such. We travel more with the hot sauce folks than we do with our family, so it's a little tough during the holidays. So I went ahead and I browned up the meat. I had the onions in there, little green pepper. I did put some coleslaw mix on top of that. I'm going to let that sit and wilt a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is whip up the sauce that we are going to do for the dipping sauce, all right? So I started off with 2 cups of mayonnaise. I'm going to do some of Cajun's mushroom sauce, wild mushroom sauce in there. I'm going to mix that up. I'm going to put some honey to sweeten it up because you can't have a egg roll dipping sauce if it's not sweet. All right, a little honey, and I'm going to put a little lemon juice in there as well. I'm going to mix that and get that going while we keep an eye over here.
You know, I followed K-John's Instagram yesterday, and I just followed yours today. Everybody, if you want to keep in touch with Vic, see what he's doing, and see about his hot sauce collection, the largest one in the world, then join 13,000 other followers. He's followed by Truff. He's followed by everybody in the industry that doesn't willy-nilly run and follow just everybody. Follow Vic on Instagram at Pepperboy143.
Very cool, thank you. All right, we're gonna add a little bit of wild mushroom sauce to our mixture. I'm gonna let that sit for just a little bit and marry up. And we are getting going here. Let's see. Got a good mix on that. I don't know if you guys can see that. That's looking really good. All right, so we're gonna get to egg roll construction. How fun is that? Let's see. All right. So if you've not made egg rolls before, they're actually really fun. I thought they were gonna be a lot more difficult than they actually are, but they're pretty cool. So you take your egg roll wrapper, right? You can get those at the grocery store, all ready to go. Diamond shape, right? Pointed towards you. All right. We're gonna take a scoop or two. Let's see, I'm gonna put that down. I'm gonna grab that. Pretty simple. Make a nice line, right dead in the middle. Not too big, not too small. God, that's mushroom sauce is absolutely smelling amazing. I don't know if you guys can be catching that. You feeling me? All right, so. Did a little egg wash here. We got that. We have
Vic, what kind of mushroom did you use?
Use just buttons. We use buttons in here. There is a mixture of mushrooms in the hot sauce itself. So it has that real deep umami flavor to it, right? That savoriness to it. And almost it just kind of makes you feel good when you eat it. It's like, Good stuff. I'm going to put just a little brush of egg wash there. Wrap up, almost like a burrito. Wrap here, take it in, and then the egg wash to the top. All right, we'll flip it over. And there we go, we have one constructed egg roll. And I'm gonna kind of go off to the side there. I think my fryer is over there for us. Let's see. Easiest way of me doing that is, all right.
What kind of oil do you want to use when you do this?
This one we just use vegetable oil in this here. I find that they'll have the better smoke point on it, so I think it's pretty easy to use. I think John turned me off. So, cool. So let's talk more about hot sauce and what makes a good hot sauce. You know, so a lot of people ask me, when they hear I have the largest hot sauce collection, and I go, do you like hot sauce? You know, I get a lot of folks that first instinct is, hot sauce, no, it's not for me. Then I take my phone and I screed through my pictures, right? And I go through my camera roll and I have more pictures of hot sauce than I do of my family. It's pretty sad. And people are just, I guess, amazed at actually how many sauces are actually out there on the market, right? So then it gives an opportunity to be able to talk about different levels of heat, different styles of sauces, different types of sauces. And so it's just not, you know, a lot of times Joe consumers' view into the hot sauce world is the grocery store shelf, right? It's really, really small. So that's when I tell folks to try to come out to as many shows as possible. Follow me on Instagram, follow the Facebook pages, so you can kind of get a view of what is really out there. Because again, it's a lot like the craft beer world. I mean, there's so many beers out there. It's just amazing. 2012, the hot sauce industry production was the 8th fastest growing industry in the United States. And I think that's, number one, it's incredible. And number two, it's like, wow, hot sauce, right? We've made it, right? And I don't think it's slowed down any in those few years. And especially now in the last year and a half, through all this Corona fun, there's just been a lot of new businesses that have opened up. Folks have lost their jobs and needed to have some sort of income, some restart for themselves. So they started up hot sauce businesses. So I think that's really cool. It's almost like a revival, if you will, for the hot sauce industry. It's just, I find it fascinating. I find it really cool because there's so many, again, as you go through, so how many, people don't understand that there's the craftsmanship behind a craft hot sauce, right? So everyone kind of thinks, I guess you get that, you fall into that thing where it all tastes either like Tabasco or Frank's or something like that. But actually there's so many different flavor profiles out there right now that opportunities like this to kind of come to the shows and taste what these folks are making, it's just so much different, right? So nothing against the mass-produced sauces, right? Your big guys like Tabascos and Franks and stuff, but again, they're mass-produced. They produce them in really large quantities, right? So as you get small batch, right, your ingredients are a lot better, right? Your ingredients are fresher, right? You're using fresh vegetables, you're using fresh peppers, you're using fresh vinegars, things like that. So there's just, obviously, there's a taste difference in there, which I think I find exciting, in my aspect of it. Let me see, not browning up yet. John turned it off on me here. I'm gonna crank her up full bore. See if we can't get it. All right. So, another question that I got yesterday at the booth was kind of fun. Somebody had asked me, well, now you have 10,000 bottles, all right? You're rolling up on that benchmark. Where do you go from here? And that was just a little salt and pepper in my dipping sauce. Just gonna season that up there. I've never looked at it at that angle. I've never put a cap on my collection. At some point, I think on how fast it grows, I'm probably going to outgrow a house. I mean, there's no other words for it. I'm going to have to probably do something, right? I got Ed Curry. I love you too, right? So Ed Curry is gonna buy me a warehouse where I can put my museum, right? You all saw him nod, so there's a commitment for the money on that. So yeah. So at some point, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I'm not going to stop because again, there's just way too much stuff out there, and there's way too much. And now, so I've turned what was a passion for a spicy condiment into a collecting obsession, if you will, and that's led to the opportunities that we were able to talk about. So over the years, we've actually had the opportunity to have our hot sauce collection featured on the Today Show. Matt Lauer, before he got himself fired, showed a picture of our sauce. We've been on the Cooking Channel where they actually came out and did a pilot episode for my crazy food obsession. No, I'm not crazy, but I ended up on that show. We were on the Food Network, and just most recently we were on the History Channel with a cool show called Eating History. What these guys did is they went around the country trying old food, World War I MREs, the Ritz crackers that someone found in their attic from 1950, just all kinds of crazy stuff. So they approached me and asked me what the hottest sauces that I had. The oldest sauces that I had. I happened to have had on hand 2 bottles, because I would not open without having a backup, a 40-year-old bottle of Tabasco sauce, and about a 30-year-old sauce from Boulez, also in Louisiana. So we opened up the Tabasco, and you would think, man, it was crazy. So it was one of those that was in the box from way back, and it almost like it, and I know that this is not right words for it, it almost like it fermented, because I know you need oxygen for the fermentation process, but it had gotten darker in the bottle. It had gotten richer flavor in the bottle. So when we opened it up, it almost tasted like a balsamic vinegar, and it was actually almost brown in color. I'm 40 years old, I guess it will do that, but we ate it. It was good. It was hotter than your normal Tabasco. It was pretty neat. So,
we've talked about how hard it is to pick a favorite, and now we've talked about age and the oldest bottle.
Right.
Being objective, what would you say has been appraised to be the most valuable or the most expensive bottle that you have?
Right. So there is a gentleman from New Jersey. His name is Blair Lazar. He has Garden Row Foods or Blair's Extreme. So he was one of the very first to start doing reserve bottles, putting the wax resin on top, hand signing them, numbering them, typically in small batches. One of his bottles is called Blair's Caldera. I want to say maybe it was 199-ish, 299, something along those lines. And that was 16 years ago. So as they start disappearing, as people start opening them, as people don't collect anymore and either throw them away or they get broken, it raises in value, right? So there for a long time, it was ranging between the $1,200 to $1,400 range on eBay, and I've seen them in gift shops as high as $5,000 just for one bottle, and we have two. We have two in the collection. So, yes, we are insured. I think that was the next question. I already saw you're right. All right. So we had folks from a television show called The List, and they came over and they had done a special on oddities and strange things that had been insured. So that we had them over to the house and they walked through the whole thing. So I walked through it. So yes, I have my hot sauce insured. So pretty cool. We're starting to pick up some steam here now. Sorry about that. I think John sabotaged me on purpose. What we're getting here. So yeah, so now as I get a little bit older, right, I've calmed down a little bit, right? I am not as I shouldn't say gun-ho. I'm still really excited about collecting, but I have a little bit more control over it. The collectible scene is still really cool, but now I really want to open it up to how many I can possibly get, right? So, and one of the offshoots of what I'm doing, and we've got the egg rolls up here if you guys want to start digging in. One of the cool things is that I'm really kind of pushing toward the international sauces right now because I just think they're so neat. And all of the bottles are so unique. So you guys want to help yourselves to the, I think the demos are out here now, all the egg rolls. Do we have any more questions? Yes, fire away. I would probably have to say us here, United States, right? Because I think we have though Australia, and so the question was, out of all of my collections, right, the countries that may have the hottest sauces in total, I think it's here still, only because that we grow chili peppers for the most part all year round, and there's just a lot of engineering with the crossbreeding of the chilies and all of that. So I think it's still here, though the UK, Australia, and New Zealand are just coming on like wildfire. The UK growing some of the craziest chili peppers out there and some of the hottest chili peppers. So, and again, I find that just so interesting, and so for me to be able to talk about that from somebody from England, and you get to chat. You know, I've done 2 different television shows over there, and across the pond. So it was kind of neat to be able to see the similarities that we had, country-wise. If that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Anything else? Well, I think I'm gonna go. Yeah, go ahead. K. John's booth, right on the other side. You got it. Yep. All right, guys. I think I'm going to wrap it up there. I appreciate your time. I get you listening to me babble about hot sauces and preach the hot sauce gospel. All right. Enjoy the egg rolls, enjoy the show, and come buy some hot sauce from us. All right. Thank you, guys.